up, you big beautiful nerds? This is Chesh, and I'm back with another deck tech, and this time, this is Feather the Redeemed. Now, there is a story behind this. Before my LGS shut down, the store owner, Isaac, cracked open this Feather the Redeemed from a spare pre-release pack a couple of weeks after it was released, and I had to have it. I don't play Boris. I don't do it. I find Boris too boring. But Feather opens up something a little bit more unique. Other than, of course, the battle cattle or battle cows or whatever you want to call them, Feather is still based around attacking. But it's a legendary creature angel, a 3/4 with flying, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, yes, this works with a token deck, but we don't care about that. Exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves, and if you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. The next end step. Very important. So you're basically going to be casting some cool cantrips and stuff. As long as they're targeting your creatures, you're getting them back. But there's one big major flaw to Boros that we need to cover first before we go anywhere else. Boros can be slow. It is known to be notoriously slow without mana rocks. So we're going to run a whole bunch of, mana enablers, mana rocks, I'm going to call them. So we got Mox Amber, because at no point are you not going to have your commander out really. Let's be honest, this deck is all about the commander. We've got a Lotus Petal, which will come into play later on. We of course have Soul Ring. Go to Magic Fest. # channels Fireball. Oh, really goodness. We've got Fire Diamond. Now, yes, it enters the battlefield tapped, and I was talking about not slowing your deck down. I'll find a decent replacement at some point. Thought Vessel, because you have no maximum hand size, is actually a factor in this deck, which is crazy considering it's Boros. Mind Stone, because later on we can sacrifice it to draw a card if we need to. Thran Dynamo, just because it taps for 3 colorless mana and helps you pay command attacks later on, which you're probably going to have to do because everyone knows how vile Feather can actually be. We've got Felwar Stone. This one is just adding mana to your pool. I mean, you're generally going to have somebody who's running at least an off color that's red or white, so it should be fine. Boris Signet, just because then you can pump some of your colorless mana through for some actual colored mana. Talisman of Conviction is an interesting one because it taps for colorless or it taps for a colored mana and deals you damage. So kind of City of Brassish, I guess, especially in a 2-color deck, it really is. So I thought it was a good idea to at least put this in here anyway. As he fumbles. Arcane Signet, of course, because wizards. So when you make a Brawl deck and you put something like Arcane Signet in it, everyone's going to want that Arcane Signet. 2 mana, provide any 1 mana of any color, your commander's color identity. Is just too strong not to play. Not broken, just extremely strong. Darksteel Ingot, indestructible, so it's always going to stick around, well, mostly. Tap to add 1 mana of any color mana pool. We've got the Boris Clue Stone. So this is an interesting one because, yeah, it's 3, it's a bit expensive, but later on we can sack it for Boros to actually draw a card. So I thought that was kind of cool. The better play, of course, is Commander Sphere, which we can then just sacrifice anytime we want to draw a card. So you can tap it for the mana and then sack it to draw a card. Heraldic Banner is a new Throne of Eldraine include for this deck. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+0, and add 1 mana of the chosen color if you tap it. And of course, Dockside Extortionist, which is actually like a $20 US card at this point. It's ridiculously expensive. I've spoken about it before. Your opponents are likely within at least the first 5 or 6 turns of the game going to have enough artifacts for you to generate some mana off. Even on probably like your turn 3, you've went around the board like 3 times. There's going to be some Soul Rings and stuff. So hopefully this will help you ramp into your commander and stuff. All right, so now that we know that we can make things go a bit faster with the mana, what else can we do without knocking the camera over with this particular deck to help protect Feather? Well, we don't want to ruffle Feather's feathers, so we've got God's Willing. So it grants protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn of scry card. Well, scry one card. We've got Apostle's Blessing for 2 CMC. Technically speaking, 1 if you want to pay 2 life. Target artifact or creature you control gains protection from artifacts or from the color of your choice until the end of turn. We have Shelter, because it is a cantrip. 2 mana, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn, draw a card. And we have Acrobatic Maneuver, much the same, exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control and draw a card. Okay, so now we've got some protection going on as well. We need to have a look at what we're going to be doing with the commander. Well, we're pretty much just going to Voltron it up, but not how you think. We'll put this one at the back. Dark Steel Plate gives our commander indestructible, and it has indestructible itself, so it's hard to get rid of. Hammer of Nazan was left over from the previous version of this deck that ran a whole heap of more equipment, which we kind of cut down on. So when Nazan or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you can then attach that equipment to target creature you control. Target creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible. Conqueror's Flail is really cool. This doesn't matter so much. Like, the most it's going to do is 2 mana to give your commander +2/+2. But as long as it's attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, so they can't interrupt anything you're doing, which is great. Swift-Hoof Boots, much the same. Hexproof Haste means that you can still target your creature and nobody else can. And of course, the delicious Sunforger, which is a ridiculous tutor. So equipped creature gets +4/+0 is pretty good. I mean, Feather straight up just becomes like a 7/4. But being able to unattach this to such a library for a red or white instant card with a converted mana cost of 4 or less, and then casting that card without paying its mana cost is just, it's the balls. It's so good. It's fantastic. So definitely Sunforger, if you don't have a copy, get a copy. I mean, yes, they're probably not going to be cheap, but they're very good. Okay, so now that we've got that, we need a way to actually start killing our opponents. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have Sure Strike, gives +3/+0 until the end of turn. Infuriate, +3/+2 until the end of turn. Brute Force, +3/+3 until the end of turn. Reckless Charge, +3/+0. And Haste until the end of turn with Flashback in case we need it. Maximize Velocity, +1/+1 and Haste with Jumpstart. Moment of Heroism, +2/+2 and Lifelink to keep you in the game. Uncaged Fury, 3 mana for an instant, gives +1/+1 and double strike, so you can take somebody out in just one turn, possibly multiple opponents. Defiant Strike, +1/+0 and draw a card. We have Shoulder to Shoulder, which I'm not too keen on. We don't run that many creatures, so this is usually 3 mana to draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, which is fine but not great. We have Fist of Flames, which is one of our first really cool combo-ish type of cards. So draw a card, and then until the end of turn, target creature gains Trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. In a cantrip deck, this is the nuts. We have Onward, probably never really going to cast Victory, let's be honest. So Onward, it gives our commander +X/+0 until the end of turn, where X is its power. So, I mean, just by itself, our commander goes to 6, right? I mean, that's pretty good. But considering that this is, generally speaking, going to kill opponents in one swing when you play it, is pretty damn fine. Next thing we need to look at is some more kind of card draw cantrip-y stuff. So, let's pull that out. Alright, so we need to look at some cantrips and stuff to keep us in the game by drawing cards. So, Sunforger we've already talked about. You already know what this is. This is basically card draw incarnate because you're going to get an instant, you're going to play it for free anyway. So Defiant Strike, we just mentioned, +1/+0 and draw a card. We of course have Shoulder to Shoulder, draws a card. We have Fist of Flame, Acrobatic Maneuver, Shelter, all draw us a card. We also have Expedite, because giving something haste until the end of turn and drawing a card is pretty cool. We've got reasons for that later on. We do have some hate cards that we can include, such as Hallowed Moonlight, just to stop like zombie decks and stuff, which draws us a card. Then we have some more normal draw. So of course, Faithless Looting, Thrill of Possibility, Tormenting Voice. Now, I was going to chuck Wheel of Fortune in here because I recently picked one up and it's okay condition. But it adds an extra $100 to this deck, which we don't really want to tell you, like, you should buy a Wheel of Fortune. Don't spend the money on, like, dual lands. Not old dual lands, but, like, pain lands and stuff. Trust me. So for wheels, we've got Reforge the Soul. So each player discards his or her or their hand and then draws 7 cards. And then we have this little gem here from War of the Spark that I've never seen or played before. Heartwarming Redemption. So a Boris and 2, discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards plus 1. You gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. Wow. This is 4 mana. This is 4 mana or less. So Sunforger can even get it for you as well. So that could definitely absolutely keep us in the game if we want to discard cards from our hand. We have ways to do that to actually utilize stuff that we've discarded later on as well. But we have some stuff that we do need to talk about. And the first one is getting in for extra attacks with our Relentless Assault. Getting in for extra attacks with Response Resurgence. Or getting in with Aurelia the Warrior, which is not the hidden commander of this deck like it originally was. Again, this was a little bit of a different deck. But the thing you have to understand here is it's Flying, Vigilance, and Haste. And whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Everyone should know this. Helm of the Host, right? At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature. Except the token isn't legendary. If the equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. Wow. Yes, I do like a 2-card combo kill. Not saying you should do it, but you know, it's fun. We have some ways to go and search for stuff that we need. So we've got Gamble, of course. Gamble lets us to technically tutor for anything, but has the downside of like potentially pitching it out of a hand. For killing people, we want to ultimate our Chandra at some point, just in case, if we can. So you get an emblem whenever you cast a spell. This emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. So great during the end game. We have some really gross stuff that we can put in here, like, I don't know, Aetherflux Reservoir, because we're going to be casting a lot of instants and potentially sorceries. So we can try and capitalize on that, fall back on that, just in case we need to. Which you're probably wondering how we're going to kind of do stuff during maybe our opponent's turns. Well, we have Unwinding Clock. That's why we're running all those artifacts to generate mana. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. There is some really gross stuff that you can do with that. Just putting it out there. Isochron Scepter, Imprint, a spell, basically an instant card with a converted mana cost of 2 or less in your hand from the game, and then 2 and tap, and you can copy it and play it without paying its mana cost, which is hilarious if you really want to lock people out of the game with a silence. I don't suggest doing that unless you're playing this in a CEDH setting. We're not playing all the vast mana rocks for CEDH, but this definitely is a partial CDH deck. We, of course, also can win the game by breaching. Remembering that we are playing some wheels, so discarding our hand really isn't too bad. If we can manage to breach with a lot of stuff in our discard pile and the feather is offline for whatever reason and we can't recast her, or we're having a hard time or something like that, Underworld Breach can come in and actually save us. Failing that, and you all know it's coming because we're playing white, we can win via Approach of the Second Sun, which is our hidden win condition yet again, because not unlike the cycling deck, we get to cantrip a whole bunch with Feather, which means Approach getting back into our hand really quickly shouldn't be an issue. Well, look, I hope you've enjoyed this Feather CEDH, I'm going to say tier 2 deck, because it's missing some pieces to really be top tier CEDH, and I understand that. But this is something that you can knock up. You can probably even make it a little bit cheaper than I have in the deck list down below. And just try this deck out. Even in your normal casual commander settings, this deck is casual enough that it shouldn't ruffle too many feathers. You see what I did there? So definitely give this tech a try. I really like it, and I think you will too. I am Chesh. Like, comment, subscribe. You know I have to say it. Keep your eyes out because there's something special coming up, hopefully with Ikoria, that I cannot talk about at the moment. But there is some cool stuff on the horizons. Hashtag sponsored. Thank you very much, Wizards. And there's some cool drafts coming up on the channel very shortly. Thanks to Wizards as well for the product for those. Hashtag sponsored. And I love you all. Have a great weekend.